Thank you everyone for joining today's Lunch and Learn Cannabis Regulatory Commission, an update on recent actions by the CRC of municipal concerns. Before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping items. First, we'll be recording today's session to post on the League's Lunch and Learn page. We ask that everyone mutes themselves. At the end of the presentation, there'll be a time for questions and answers. Please type your questions in the chat box, and League Research Associate Sierra Bradley will be monitoring questions we'll ask on your behalf. Today we are joined by Jesus Alzazar, Chief of Staff, and Dave Toussaint, Chief Legal Counsel from the Cannabis Regulatory Commission. And I'll turn it over to you now, Jesus.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. So like she mentioned, my name is Jesus. I'm the Chief of Staff at the Cannabis Commission. I believe some of you may remember from my time working in the governor's office when I was in the Intergovernmental Affairs Department. I was the one of the folks reaching out constantly during the pandemic for updates from our office. And so I know a lot of you probably remember me from that role. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you guys on this call to talk to you guys about any concerns, questions you may have about the cannabis industry. I'll kick it over to Dave to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Dave Toussaint. I'm Chief Counsel here at the Commission. We'll be talking about the consumption areas today.
Perfect. Thank you, Dave. I think first and foremost, I would like to first discuss, I think, some legislative updates going on. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar, but there is currently a hemp bill being introduced in the legislature, or has already been introduced and has been heard in two separate committees. First in the Senate Judiciary, if I'm not mistaken, and then this past Monday at the Assembly Health Committee. The hemp bill would essentially do a couple things, but most importantly, relevant to our responsibilities, the bill would mandate that all hemp derived intoxicating products be tested and regulated under CRC guidelines. So at this time, we don't really have, I would say right now, we're just waiting to see how the legislature moves on this bill. So, you know, I know there's a lot of ongoing conversations on potential amendments and things like that. But, you know, should the legislature choose to move in the direction where it currently sits, it would task the CRC with managing oversight of Delta 8 and other, like I said, hemp derived intoxicating products that come from
and then do I have to do a
across the
life
state.
insurance one
And
too?
Yes,
so
I will.
I'm sorry, Carrie,
I
could
know
you
I have you on my list of like the things we need to
Yeah.
go through. So
That's okay.
okay.
Perfect, thank you. And so sorry about that. Right now, like I said, the legislature is reviewing and hearing feedback, and most recently, there's been a unified push from the alcohol liquor industry to have some sort of involvement, right? We can't publicly comment on our thoughts and opinions on that potential, those potential amendments, but we have not seen any type of language. I don't think there's been any amendments that have been added yet, as those conversations are ongoing. But I wanted to just highlight that as something that I think the municipality should take a look at, especially since we're not sure what a compromise could look like if liquor stores, liquor distributors may be able to sell and produce hemp-infused intoxicating beverages. They could potentially create a carve-out, letting them bypass CRC regulations and licensing requirements, or they could mandate that if they should have involvement, that they do seek a class 5, class 2, class 1, or more class 2, and class 5 licenses through the CRC. So those conversations are active and ongoing. And like I said, the CRC can't really comment on and take a position on a lot of this stuff, but I think it's very important for all of you to, you know, make sure you're engaged in those conversations, as again, they're ongoing and developing in interesting ways. So
Hey, Jesus, is that hemp bill S 1699?
let me double check to confirm, but the prime sponsors are Teresa Ruiz on the Senate side, and then on the Assembly side, Herb Conaway is the Assembly primary sponsor. That bill is
Okay, I think that is it. So I'm just going to drop that in the chat for everybody, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So they can actually refer to the bill. Okay,
Absolutely.
carry on.
So thank you. And I know that on Monday, Bill Caruso, on behalf of the New Jersey Conference of Mayors, did chime in to share his thoughts, and he had emphasized as well that perhaps this bill should move forward without any amendments allowing liquor distributors and wholesalers and liquor stores to be able to be involved in the industry, but to push those conversations at a later date while the legislature seeks to take immediate action on ensuring that hemp products are not getting into the hands of folks under the age of 21, our vulnerable populations, since a lot of these products do not abide by the caps that we've imposed on licensed and regulated products, right? And making sure, again, the minors aren't getting and purchasing these products in various facilities that many of you may have seen, whether it's a gas station, convenience store. I mean, even my gym has, CBD products and other hemp derived products for sale, right? So I know it's a big concern that many of you have expressed to your legislators. And so I think, it's very important for you guys to review this language to ensure that your voices are being heard on this particular issue. So, Dave, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to this piece.
No, nothing else, nothing to add there.
Well, if you don't mind, did you want to save questions toward the end? Answer one of the questions we have in the chat.
We can answer the ones currently related to the topic, since this is the first topic, and then in the end we could still open it up to the floor.
Okay, so I mean, this is about the Delta 8. Kristen says that there are currently Delta 8 stores out there. So what's happening to existing businesses?
So it is to my understanding, as a language currently exists, they would need to essentially secure a license through the CRC in order to sell any type of products. All hemp intoxicating products would need to come to the CRC, like I said, also for review and approvals to ensure that products are being tested. But anyone that would like to sell intoxicating CBD products, also referred to as Delta 8, Delta 9, so on and so forth, would require a license through the CRC as it currently stands. So those businesses would need to really pivot away from selling those types of products. I believe that there's conversations as well about creating some sort of carve out for non-intoxicating CBD products. I know that there's an element there where people focus on the health and wellness of those types of products, right? That focus more on providing, relief to people suffering with anxiety, or topicals, lotions that produce a physical effect rather than an intoxicating effect. So I believe that the legislature is considering creating a separate carve out for them, so that those businesses that focus on health and wellness, that again do not offer intoxicating products, that they would be able to continue operating without interference. But if the product is intoxicating, our goal is to have it come through the CRC for testing, to ensure there's no harmful elements, that the product is actually being sold as advertised, that it says if it's 10 milligrams, it's 10 milligrams in a gummy, not 100 milligrams in a gummy, which far exceeds what the CRC has in its regulations for products. That is it on that question. So I hope that answered your concern, Kristen. So assuming there's no additional questions immediately on the hemp bill, I'll move on to a separate topic. And of course, at the end, I do want to reserve time for just general open-ended questions. So feel free to throw in any additional questions about the hemp bill or any other topic that's going to be covered. Next, I just wanted to go over cultivation. So I know in the last couple of months, I've been hearing from municipal officials kind of interested in what outdoor cultivation would entail. And I wanted to let you all know that our regulations do allow for outdoor cultivation, but it is up to the municipality to expressly allow outdoor cultivation in your municipal ordinance, if that is something you want to pursue. We have rules in place to highlight again what is necessary in order to comply with our rules. And Dave, I'll kick this piece over to you. So if you wouldn't mind sharing what we require at the CRC just to satisfy our requirements on outdoor cultivation.
Sure. So for, hold on, let me just, perfect. So our outdoor cultivation requirements are under our regulations 17:30-10.3. You know, outdoor cultivation, it may occur in a full greenhouse with rigid walls. The outdoor area shall be situated to maintain the greatest achievable level of privacy and security. You know, we have been speaking to a lot of licensees. I think outdoor cultivation is probably going to be the hardest one. It's pretty costly, and the area is not, and our atmosphere or the weather around in New Jersey is not necessarily the ideal scenario for growing outdoors. But it has the same requirements as the indoor, where there have to be protected by a security alarm system. There should be some fencing around it so that we could regulate it properly and understand where the boundaries are of that cultivation facility. So that's pretty much the main points for that.
Perfect. Thank you, Dave, for that summary. Yeah, like I said, this has been coming up over the last couple of months, and I think there's a curiosity about what that would look like. And we want to assure municipal officials that there's definitely a safe way to engage in this practice if this is something you want to pursue for your municipalities. And I know the CRC would personally love to see additional outdoor cultivation grows, especially because it helps drive prices down for the market. So because there's less overhead costs and things associated with having to maintain an indoor facility, it is a big factor in helping, again, move prices down, increase supply, and increase the profits for individuals that are cultivating, manufacturing, and selling cannabis products. So I want to let others about what this could look like, or if you have questions about the regulation, later, not additional provisions you would like to enact would CRC regulation you are able to at any time for play, and we will have it as we can and answer questions to confirm regular additional provisions in your ordinances would not conflict with CRC regulations or the state statutes. So let me know if there's any questions related to this topic on outdoor cultivation.
I have no questions
So-
right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Sierra. So moving on, another hot topic that's coming up lately has been what the regulations stand on indoor consumption lounges. So the CRC is looking to move our rules on that. We've already introduced concepts, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, with comment. We're taking a look at comments received. Is that right, Dave?
For consumption areas, sorry, you were breaking up a little bit there.
Yes.
So for consumption areas, the commission proposed the new rules on consumption areas January 17, 2023. These were approved by the board January 17th, 2024. So our rules have been approved, they've been adopted, they've been published in the New Jersey Register. At this point, the board still needs to approve. We're working on a notice of application acceptance so that entities can then apply for a consumption area endorsement. Just a couple of things to highlight though. Consumption areas have to be attached to a retail space. So your municipality has to have approved already a Class 5 retailer or a medicinal dispensary entity to even apply for areas. So, there's no standalone consumption areas. Nobody can apply for that. And it's municipalities are integral to the approval process. So, even if your municipality does have a class 5 retailer, your municipality has the ability to deny a consumption area, even if if your municipality does not feel like it it's not ready for it, or whatever. I defer to your municipal council on those issues. That would be the municipality's decision to deny. But we can't, as a CRC, we can't approve a consumption area until the municipality approves it. So that's kind of I know we had a couple of questions on that. And then,
Yeah.
we have had a lot of questions on the New Jersey Smoke-Free Air Act. But the CREM Act, our statute, the legislature had deemed that consumption areas do not violate the New Jersey Smoke-Free Air Act. It's, under the plain language of the statute, they authorized these consumption areas as long as they comply with the ventilation requirements applicable to cigar lounges. So I know we've gotten a lot of questions on that. That was kind of the legislature deemed it not to be in violation of that act, of the Smoke-Free Air Act. And just the last thing to highlight is if municipalities do decide to approve the consumption area, if there is an entity that is in your municipality that's already approved as a retailer, allowing cannabis consumption areas does present economic opportunities, including potential tax revenues and fee collections there. So that's just the last thing. But again, it is up to the municipality to approve those, and we're still waiting for the board to approve the notice of application acceptance prior to any applications coming to any of your municipalities. So just that thing to note. That's why you haven't seen any of them yet. That's all I
Awesome.
have.
Thank you for the. Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you, Dave. I know that, again, to your point, like we've been getting a lot of incoming on that, and just questions about what that means for the Clean Air Act. I know a couple of local health departments have reached out expressing concerns, but Dave has gone before a handful of Dave, what was the event that you participated in?
It was Atlantic City back in March. I forget the name of the event, but it was a lot. It was an environmental and local health.
Yeah, and so I know that there were a lot of concerns, but to what Dave was saying earlier, the CREAM Act essentially created a carve out, or not carve out, but essentially put language in the CREAM Act. They put language in the CREAM Act to expressly allow these facilities, these consumption lounges to operate, and it won't contradict or conflict with the other bill highlighted, which is the Clean Air Act. And one thing I do want to highlight too, as to why the CRC would certainly like to see some facilities become or new facilities be consumption lounges, is because it also provides individuals a safe place to be able to consume cannabis, especially if you live on property that is funded by federal dollars. So something that I think doesn't get highlighted enough is that if you live in, let's say, subsidized housing, right? Or Section 8, things like that, you cannot consume cannabis in your home. It is still expressly forbidden because of federal statutes. And so it creates a really risky situation where individuals do consume cannabis for medical purposes or for self-medication to deal with chronic illnesses or chronic pain, chronic anxiety. And so consumption lounges do offer those individuals that live in challenging circumstances to be able to go to those facilities, bring their own product as well, if I'm not mistaken, Dave, if they're medical patients, and safely consume their products there without worry about jeopardizing and putting themselves at risk with regards to their housing situation. So definitely a very important thing that I do want to highlight, because I think that sometimes people forget that federal housing is where a lot of residents reside in, and they do deserve an opportunity to consume cannabis safely without putting themselves at risk. So Dave, is there anything you think we should add to this piece or anything else on this topic?
No, that's it.
All right.
Well, I guess just one more, like, municipalities, they have, just to emphasize, all municipalities have considerable regulatory authority. They can determine, the number of cannabis consumption areas. They can set guidelines for operational hours. If a municipality has an ordinance from a sensitive location, such as schools and daycares, they have the flexibility to, to approve based on those or deny based on those factors. So that just as a FYI. I know there's lots of concerns out there, but the municipalities ultimately have the decision-making power here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if your municipality feels that it's something that you can take on safely, then we definitely encourage you to reach out to us for any questions about where the regulations are on this particular topic. So we're always happy to address concerns that may come from your end. And at the very least, if we can't respond, we'll at least let you know how to move forward and who you should contact with regards to additional clarity that we cannot answer. So I do see some questions in the chat here. Specifically whether or not consumers are charged to consume in the dispensary. As far as I know, that they are not charged. Is that correct, Dave?
Yeah, they're not charged. Once we release the notice of application acceptance, we'll be more clear on this. I think the businesses have the ability to charge if they want to charge a fee to get in. I don't know if they would want to do that, but that's kind of like a policy decision they could make. I did see a question too, the municipality, how they earn more revenue. That it's a good point that it's already purchased product from the dispensary, but the thought would be that if you have a consumption area, there's going to be more demand in that area. There might be more consumers that go to that dispensary. So that's where the revenue, potential revenue bump can come in.
And that's a really good point, Dave, because I know that dispensaries, right, they're limited in how they can advertise for starters, right? There's very strict rules that the CRC and the statute has in place in order to limit exposure to minors, right? And making sure, again, that this market is not made accessible to folks under the age of 21. And so one way that a facility is able to distinguish itself from other facilities is they offer a venue for the consumers to be able to smoke cannabis. And one thing I know that I think a lot of folks would be interested in is that these facilities, these consumption lounges are not allowed to sell food similar to breweries, right? But that means that they can think outside the box and to be able to have food trucks, right, for example, lined outside of a facility, right? That helps engage foot traffic and local businesses to want to be able to work with those consumption lounges and be able to benefit mutually, right? And so again, same way that a lot of these brewing companies operate, they have other businesses come on the premises and offer food for individuals who would like to, purchase whatever it is that they're selling. So does increase foot traffic. I know that I've seen a lot of foot traffic in communities. I believe Montclair used to have a dispensary downtown that was in a medical facility before they had relocated to another location. But the foot traffic that they would get, especially since it was right across from their local theater, their I forget the name of the theater, but they would get a lot of business from folks looking to purchase cannabis prior to a show or something like that. So we've definitely seen great economic development as a result of these dispensaries being made publicly available, whether at the heart of your downtown or another part of your communities that have additional storefronts. So people are always inclined to, like I said, eat right after consuming cannabis. So I know those food trucks are very excited about what the possibilities that exist if consumption lounges are allowed in your communities. And so, Kristen, I also do see here that you had another question on, not related to this topic, but on outdoor cultivation, if there's a odor control for outdoor cultivation. Dave, would you take that one on?
Yeah, all cannabis businesses have to seek to prevent escape of odors associated with cannabis over the boundaries of property. you know, they could be, you know, whatever, I probably have to be an egregious violation, but they potentially could be, you know, issued a sanction if they're like willfully violating that. They also have to submit like SOPs to us on odor control, mitigation, and then, you know, finally, I know that they also have to apply for a permit with DEP. I don't want to speak for DEP, but you know, there's things within their, you know, air permits and you know, that they're required to comply with as well. So, you know, there's a couple of checks and balances there.
Yep, absolutely. And to Dave's point, right, there are penalties associated with failing to comply and ensure that the odor is mitigated, right? Or to ensure that they are mitigating these odors. They're more of a nuisance more than anything, right? There's no actual physical harm. And I know in the past we've heard from folks concerned about what odor can mean for kids, animals, and things like that. But as far as we're aware, it's a nuisance more than anything. There's no physical harm to individuals. Unless they find the scent to be extremely nauseating to deal with, but that's ultimately good. So yeah, I think that's all the topics we wanted to cover. I did also want to highlight on the hemp bill that Mike Sarah posted the bill in the chat, and that is the exact bill. I think they had reintroduced this new one May 13th. And so it is S3235. An Assembly Companion Bill A4461. I believe now that they could potentially hear this bill again later this week on Thursday before the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee. So definitely, you know, keep your eyes and ears open on that as those conversations are ongoing, because I think it's very important for the municipalities to engage on this topic. So just wanted to clarify that. And Sierra, I think we're open to
Hi Marta, ¿cómo está?
any and all questions.
¿Me
from
puede
you.
hacer un sándwich de pollo
Hi, Town Clerk.
a la plancha?
Yeah. But yeah, no, we would like to open the floor now to any questions from anyone on any topic and on anything not even covered on this conversation. Let us know if there's anything anyone would like for us to highlight.
Well, while we're waiting for folks to chat in the questions, Jesus and Dave, thank you for taking the time this afternoon and providing us with an update. Is there while we're waiting, is there anything else coming down the line at CRC that may be of interest to municipalities?
I'm trying to think. So yeah, we're still waiting for further actions on consumption lounges, and I think right now the two communities that have expressed the most interest has been Atlantic City and Jersey City. So I believe their ordinances have already allowed consumption lounges. So it should be really interesting once we finally formally adopt the rules. And Dave, what was the timeline on that again?
Well, we've adopted the rules. We're just waiting for the notice of obligation acceptance. The board has to approve that first. That kind of details what the entities have to submit to us for our approvals. Because they don't have that yet. So that's that's forthcoming. We're hoping to get that moved along soon.
Perfect. Do you think that'll happen before the end of summer or during the autumn season?
Not sure. I can't commit to that. Would have to speak to the chair on that.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Another thing to keep an eye out for is our testing guidance. So soon enough, we will be proposing and adopting permanent testing rule guidelines. So it's what mandates and requires entities to get their products regularly tested to ensure safety across both adult use and recreational products. So I don't believe we have a timeline on that yet, but it should be in the next coming weeks. So that's something to definitely be on the lookout for. And just, you know, again, it's our way of ensuring that this market is safe for all individuals who are consuming cannabis, and especially, you know, our most vulnerable populations, which is the medical population, seniors, for example, as well. So some more information on that will be forthcoming, but we're excited. We've been working with scientists to ensure that our regulations and our guidelines will, make sense to the testing labs out there, and to the experts to, again, emphasize how important it is to make sure these products do not have pesticides, other contaminants like molds, yeast, things like that. Anything else on the testing guidance, Dave?
No,
All right.
Well, we do have a couple questions.
No.
Jesus, the first question from Christine would be, are the rules finalized on cannabis delivery only businesses?
Yes, we've started accepting applications for Class 6 licenses as of last year, right, Dave?
yes, that's correct.
All right, so we definitely have regulations already in place. I think there's been a little bit of confusion about what that means. So I know a couple of questions have come in over the last couple of months about Class 5 dispensaries doing delivery, right? So the statute, the CREAM Act, expressly allows individuals, so long as they submit an SOP to the CRC. And so that is an option for Class 5 retail dispensaries to engage in delivery services. But a Class 6 license is, I think, a bit more like an Uber or Grubhub delivery service, where an entity doesn't necessarily hold product or inventory, but they can engage in direct delivery on behalf of retail dispensaries and deliver to consumers. So those rules are definitely already in place, and we've been accepting applications for Class 6 delivery licenses. So let us know, Christine, if there's any questions or concerns about that, and we'll be happy to address it further.
Okay, another question we have from Corrado. Does the hemp bill affect hemp cultivation at all, or just manufacture or intoxicating hemp-related products?
I believe that it is only just the manufacturing of and testing of hemp-related products, because as far as I know, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the Department of Agriculture that has put a moratorium on New Jersey hemp producers from being able to manufacture intoxicating products. So a lot of these products are coming from out of state, honestly, right? And unfortunately, that's why it's been proliferating everywhere. Why you're seeing a lot of these products, like I highlighted earlier, at gas stations, convenience stores, gyms, and things like that. So in order to sell these types of products, you will need a Class 5 retail license, and those products must be tested by the CRC. Dave, do you know if I missed anything on that?
No, that's my understanding as well.
Perfect. So hope that clarifies for you, Corrado.
Okay, M. Riley says, or asks, is the legislature addressing the issue of non-licensed facilities that are gifting cannabis?
So I don't know if the legislature is working on additional language, but as far as I know, the Attorney General's office has already put out a memo explaining that the concept of gifting is not allowed, right? They're intentionally circumventing the statute that requires them to have a Class 5 retail license. I know I've heard from many of you that, you're seeing trucks driving around, issuing or gifting cannabis with the purchase of, I don't know, $50 worth of chips or something like that, right? Obviously skirting both CRC regulations and the statute. And really, you guys have the existing authority under your municipal authority to shut these facilities down and issue them fines for operating without licenses. So, I do want to highlight that, and I think that the best person to contact for further clarity should be the county prosecutor's office, because they should be able to help offer actual legal guidance to your law enforcement division to ensure that you can adequately address anybody who may be trying to circumvent the statute and regulations. So I do want to highlight that there should already be a mechanism in place to deal with the concept of gifting. Obviously, that falls outside of the CRC's purview, since we only mandate and regulate the licensed side of the market. So we definitely encourage you to reach out to the county prosecutor's office for more guidance on how to tackle this issue if it's coming up in your communities. Dave, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, well, one thing is, even if you are licensed, I know this is not really the question, but if you are licensed, you also cannot, a licensed entity also cannot provide samples, free samples either. So
Yeah, absolutely. And great point, Dave. There's rules that license holders must abide by. And gifting is not allowed in any sense either. So if you do happen to catch wind that a facility licensed operator may be trying to circumvent regulations, let us know. We will conduct an investigation. And if they are caught acting inappropriately, we are able to leverage fines and at the very end, also revoke licenses if their behavior is egregious enough. So we have that authority, and obviously, our so far we've seen that licensed operators are abiding by our rules. They don't want to lose their licenses, especially considering all the amount of time, money, resources that they're pouring into their businesses. We're not really seeing this issue come up with licensed entities. And if they do try to, think of ways to, advertise or offer free products, they run it through us typically, and we're able to tell them, yes, this falls within CRC guidelines and rules, there are no issues. Or we tell them, no, we're sorry, this would conflict with our rules, so you are not allowed to do this. So they're very often quick to reach out to us for clarity, to ensure that they're acting appropriately and within our rules. So I hope that helped them, Riley.
Okay, and Kristen asks, are large warehouses good candidates for conversion to cultivation? Can they easily be converted, or are those facilities not appropriate for cultivation?
Yeah, so I would say I think 99.99% of all cultivation facilities are warehouses currently. Is that right, Dave? Something along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, there's like an old Walmart that was converted into a cultivation facility in Branchburg, I think. Like the Verona, so yeah, I mean, it's really up to the entity though. That's really their call to see if it makes sense for them. I don't know the nuances of what that warehouse looks like, but yeah, I mean, as long as they comply with all their regs and it's approved by the municipality, the location, zoning is correct, is okay, then we would then approve it as long as it's all compliant with us. But yeah, I mean, I think a warehouse, it seems as if that would be something that a lot of businesses are targeting to open up a cultivation facility for indoor one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of communities and municipalities feel like warehouses are the best way for their communities, right? Because when you're driving by, you wouldn't suspect that cannabis is growing in these facilities, right? It looks like any typical warehouse, gates around, right? They take security very seriously, especially because we do require a lot of security provisions. And so, most people would be unaware that there's a cultivation facility as a warehouse in their municipalities. So we have no issues with it, obviously, as long as they're abiding by our regs. And most communities, most municipalities prefer having a warehouse since it's more discreet, and it also allows individuals to be able to implement specific odor mitigation practices to ensure, again, that the plan that they have in place works with the facility and is able to prevent cannabis odors from escaping into neighborhoods or other parts of the municipality. I see a follow-up, and no tractor trailers with cannabis. No, I don't believe that's. Dave, could you chime in on that?
What is the question?
I guess they wanted to know whether or not they could theoretically use like a tractor trailer to grow cannabis.
The vehicle will have to comply with all of our regs. I don't, as long that, we have regulations on, what, it can't, you can't advertise cannabis on it. There's like other restrictions in that regard. I don't know if there's necessarily a restriction on how big a vehicle can be, but we can get back. Is there, if there was somebody that applied for one, and does somebody apply for or is there a question on, is there a specific example of that? Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess ultimately, right, there's some discretion, I would imagine, as to how they want to grow cannabis at the assigned location, right? Like we have to remember too that all annual licenses rather, are tied to a physical location, right? If they just so happen to want to utilize, I think, trailers, shipping containers and things like that to be where they actually do the actual grow and cultivation of the plants, I don't think we have any issues with that. And I think I've seen people utilize shipping containers and essentially converting those into really interesting and specifically like kind of like a greenhouse basically, right? So I think that's pretty much fine with us as long as the vehicle's not moving anywhere and
Oh, sorry, my understanding of the question was like, can they transport cannabis with a tractor trailer? If it's the question, if it's like, can a tractor trailer be a cultivation facility? I don't know about that one, but you know, my initial answer to the question was like, can a tractor trailer transport cannabis as long as, you know, it's secure transport? I don't see why not. But so I guess, you know, if that's the question. If the
Yeah.
question is whether a tractor trailer can be a, okay.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I don't think we prohibit the
Yeah,
way
there's like secure transport regs that we have, you know, they have, and like what the vehicle can be marked as, all that stuff.
And ultimately, if you guys are looking for smaller businesses, you can allow exclusively only micro businesses, right? If you want to cut down on the risk of there being a lot of traffic and it being a large facility, you can only open up your municipality to exclusively micro businesses, which are capped at facilities that are 2,500 square feet. So, you know, obviously there's an actual physical limitation as to how much they could potentially grow within that facility. And they ultimately wouldn't really be producing so much volume that would require, you know, a handful of tractor trailers coming into your community and exporting it elsewhere. So that is an option for municipalities to consider if they want to make sure that only small businesses are in your communities and not adding to additional congestion and other concerns like that. So, Kristen, I hope that answers your concern there. Any other questions from anyone?
If there's no other questions, thank you, Jesus and Dave, for your time. As always, very informative. If you have follow-up questions, just reach out to us and we'll pass them along to Jesus and Dave. And we thank you for your time this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lori, for having us. And again, we're always available to answer questions. So as Lori said, please feel free to funnel questions through her. She'll get them over to myself and Dave, and we'll take a look and do our best to answer. So thank you guys so much for your time.
All right, thank you. Have a nice day.
All right. Take care.